welcome back to Straight Facts. It's Tuesday. I'm joined by LB and Aaron Talks Football. Make sure like buttons are hit. Make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace as well. Loads to talk about today. The deadline day has passed. The Premier League season is in full swing. We're United. We did say this backstage, and this may be one of the only times this season that us three stream together on a Tuesday when it's only Man United that won a game at the weekend. Rare as rocking horse shit. But we're talking about United finally winning. Have we turned a corner? Is there still more dark days ahead? We're touching on Man City and their crisis start to the season. Is it a crisis? Will it get better? LB and Aaron will be talking about that. We're looking at Arsenal. Yes, they were beaten at the weekend by title favourites Liverpool. But are Arteta and Arsenal ready for the season ahead? We review their window and what's to come. Plus, we're talking Alexander Isak and these disgraceful accusations that imply match fixing from the Newcastle press today, now that he has signed a deal with Liverpool and joined the Merseyside outfit. But before all of that, how are you, gentlemen? You all good and well?
Good, man. Yeah, big up Az, big up Terry, big up the chat, man. Yeah, ready to go, innit?
Been a while since I've been calling Az on stream. Yeah, fair dude. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, but Az. That's a little throwback. Only me mates call me that. Oh, are you me mate now? Are you, LB?
We're both mudded. We're both mudded. Yeah.
Absolutely, mate.
All three of us are mudded.
We're in the same boat. Yeah.
You should change this to Straight Facts, to Straight Mudded. That's what you should change.
Yeah, straight mugs, innit?
Yeah, we won and we're still fucked. It's just like, yeah, great. Beating Burnley ain't for everywhere. It's particularly for most teams this year, to be fair. But yeah. Mud brothers. But look, loads to go through today, loads to start on. But I did want to start with the craziness surrounding Alexander Isak. And this article was actually put out last night, not this morning, but it was put out around 10 o'clock. And I think most people yesterday evening, once sort of 7, 8 p.m. went past and the Gahey news came through, I think everyone switched off their phones, got off the apps and just said, the last 3 months have been crazy. Great fun as well, the transfer window. I love it. But when transfer deadline, I don't know about you, I was out walking the dog for an hour before this show, and it was so nice knowing that there wasn't going to be, I could miss some breaking news while I was out, and I better check my phone to make sure I've not missed out on it. It's kind of nice when it ends. I do like it. But a big accusation made by Luke Edwards today, and that is that he has said that insiders at Newcastle have told him that from April onwards, Alexander Isak was behaving and playing like someone that did not want the team to qualify for the Champions League, as he knew it would make it harder for him to explain to Eddie Howe and supporters why he wanted to go. The article also states that after the League Cup final, and this is verbatim, it says insiders say Isak's behavior changed. After the Wembley win, he became quiet and withdrawn. He was not focused or working hard in training. And a massive hit piece. Luke Edwards claiming it's all true, as in he's been told it's true, and that he's been keeping notes since May 2024 to suggest that this isn't new information. He's had it building up over the course of the last 15, 16 months. But LB, what's your take on this? I mean, he's done the deal. He signed. Yeah. The Newcastle press all summer said it wouldn't happen. Now it has. And he's a scumbag, he's nasty, and he tried to cost us Champions League football. What do you make of these big accusations today?
I think it's dangerous. I think it's very dangerous to start saying stuff like that, man. I think if you're going to start saying stuff like that, for me, you've got to have like serious evidence to back it up. Yeah, accusing the guy of not playing to his maximum. Yeah, I guess you're indirectly saying what he's missing chances on purpose. That's the way I'd take it when I read it. Not working. I just think this is. Listen, we can all sit here and we can have our opinions on what Isak did in terms of going on strike, not turning up, and his conduct. Yeah, that's cool, and I'm down to say that like whatever he did was not on or whatever. Yeah, if that's your opinion. But to start throwing that, it just looks to me like you're just being pure salty, man. Do you know what I'm saying? And I've got to say, man, I think the Newcastle fans should be 100% fuming with Isak, yeah. But I also think they should be 100% fuming with the reporters that cover Newcastle, because what they've been saying for the last 6 months is just nonsense, man. And whether that came from the club and therefore it's not really the reporters' fault, Someone else, you can't just look at, you've got to look at the whole picture, man. They've been going on saying he's not for sale, he's not for sale. Newcastle are not going to sell him and not going to sell him. Well, I look at it and go, I think they were always going to sell him if they got the money. If they got the money and they could get a replacement, they were always going to. So why have you been saying that there was never for sale? Yeah, so I think the Newcastle fans should obviously be fuming with Isak. Yeah, but I also think they should be fuming with some of the reporters that cover Newcastle football. And I think this latest piece on Isak and how he was performing and conducting himself in the last few months of the season, I think it's pathetic. I think it's dangerous, and I don't really think you should be able to say shit like that unless you've got proof. And how are you going to get proof? You know, we were speaking off air just before we come live. Like, the only person that's going to know that is Isak himself, and Isak's not going to come out and admit it. So, to be honest with you, yeah, I just think this is it's not on. I think Newcastle just need to move on. Yeah, forget it. It's done. You got a British record transfer fee, 130 million quid. Yeah, big money. You've got your new geezers in, Visser and the German guy. Like, just move on, man. But nah, I just think this is like, is it cope? Are they trying to cope and put this report out to sort of like soften the blow, to say, well, he wasn't trying anyway or whatever? Like, nah, I just think this is not the one, man. This is not the one.
Yeah, facts. No, I want to echo a lot what you said as well, because you're talking fucking facts, LB. Yeah, we had a little chat about that offline, and like I said, unless it comes from the horse's mouth, you are playing a very dangerous game coming out with accusations like that. Now, is it probably the geezer probably coming out and trying to make his few quid off of obviously the fanfare of it all? Because it was the saga of the summer. Let's get it right, wasn't it? Isak to Liverpool was the saga of the summer. Is the geezer now coming out and just trying to get his couple of pence in on it? You don't really know, but it's a bit of a defamation of character. I mean, like we're saying, I'd like to see the proof, because as well, we see the tweet that he was saying, and he says sort of things in the lines of some insiders suggested. Okay, some insiders, plural. Okay, what insiders were they? Where did you get that from? How many of them was it filtered down to until you got that story then? If this is such a big story and it's accurate and you have proof, why have they not ran with it? Why has it fell to you, 73 subscribers, 73k subscribers? Why has it fell to you? Like, I'm sorry, if the word in the industry, if you got this news filtered down to you, then why are you running it? And it's just a dangerous thing. Why have they swerved it? More to the question, because there's probably nothing to back it up. And if you're going to come and attack someone's character like that, it's defamation. You've got to be bloody right if you want to come out. Or you've got to be right, or you've got to be stupid. And I'm probably going to go with the latter on this. I think he's just trying to get a bit of a follow, and he's coming out with a story that's out there, isn't he? I think, let's face it, this story is out there, and I think it is disgusting. The words that Terry's used are absolutely right. Unless he's going to come out and give us proof from the horse's mouth, i.e. Isak's, and be like, yeah, here we go. We've got video evidence or factual evidence that can back this up. Maybe the geezer could just stick to his lane, keep reporting for the Telegraph up north, and shut your mouth with these silly accusations, because you probably lost more respect than you've gained from this silly little story, mate. It's no good. And things like this need to stay away. They absolutely have no place in this business. If you think something, don't say it's factual. He's coming out there and basically saying, oh yeah, he's hiding behind all the little word in the industry, or insiders. Who's the insiders then? Why are they not running with it? It's a joke to me. I'm sorry, it's no good, no place.
I agree. Luke Edwards was a reporter this summer who got so much wrong, and he always kept. Yeah. He did this weird thing where if you read his articles where he was talking about not for sale, not for sale, not for sale, there's always a caveat or two in the articles. And Ash, who's commenting on the screen, is a Newcastle fan. He and I spoke on camera many times that he'd say one thing, but then there would be a passage in the article that would always leave the door open to him leaving. But every time there was like a development that sounded like it was in Newcastle's favour, he'd kind of quote tweet his body of work and say, I told you all, you are simpletons. This deal isn't happening. I tried to tell you, it's a joke. He did that 2 or 3 times, and then the deal ends up happening. He actually attacked the Newcastle owners the other day. He said that Piff, that this summer they were no different to Mike Ashley. They caved and they should be embarrassed. Comparing them to Mike Ashley, I think in itself is an abomination. And that was the man's pride talking, not his brain. The accusations in this article, though, don't make sense. And any Newcastle fan running with them, I'm going to say this. You're Mike Ashley. Any Newcastle fan pushing this story, you were going to damage your club like Mike in a similar way to Mike Ashley did. You are the same as him. How is it true? First of all, if you've had this information since April and May, why didn't you run it, Luke Edwards? You said you had notes. Why wouldn't you put this up? Why wasn't this part of your stories all summer saying, listen, guys, I know you want to keep him. I know the club want to keep him, but I've got to tell you something that was really important that was told to me a couple of months ago. He was trying to sabotage the end of our season. That may have changed how Newcastle fans wanted this to be handled in the first place. Why would you hold it back till now? Strange. Secondly, if these insiders are telling you the truth, let's put 2 and 2 together and see what we get here. Because I feel like we're getting 492. You were offering him multiple deals over the summer to make him your highest paid player in the history of your football club. As recent as last Monday, your owners were at his house trying to at least convince him to reintegrate, if not stay. Why would you be offering new deals and reintegration and begging a player to stay if he tried to sabotage the last 2 months of your season, if he wasn't working hard to damage your season? This is the element that doesn't make sense. Equally, when you read the article, there is no point where he has gone to Isak's camp, Isak's agent, Isak's lawyer to ask for their right of reply. There is no, this is what an insider told us. This is what the player has said. He might have just said the player refused to comment, but at least you've given him an opportunity. That isn't suggested in the article. David Ornstein, Ben Jacobs, and Fabrizio were abused all summer because of journalists like Luke Edwards. But their articles were quite balanced. It would say Liverpool want this, player wants that, Newcastle were saying this. They gave you all three sides of the story, and then you as a grown-up can make a decision on what you believe. And they were abused for it. Luke Edwards, who is sort of like the Pied Piper of the abuse gang this summer, almost zero balance to this article. Not Isak denies this, the club say this, Isak says this, Isak says that, the club says this. Just all one-sided, almost propaganda-ish approach. And I agree with what you both said. It's dangerous because you now know that Isak's going to get even more abuse. He's probably already had it in his DMs. He's going to get racial abuse off the back of it because what always happens in these scenarios is you get the heavy criticism, which is maybe fair, on the way he forces his way out the club. Then you'll get the abusers who try and cover it up as criticism. And then in amongst all the noise and mess, you get the little racist bigots pop up and go, well, I'll throw a little bit in and nobody might notice because there's so much hate going on around him at the moment. And that's also what's going to happen. You will have experienced this firsthand as a fan, LB, the hit jobs done on Raheem Sterling from the moment he joined Manchester City that still get him booed now, all these years later. And as much as I don't want to see a Liverpool player like Isak succeed on a footballing level, because I'm a United fan, I don't want to see another human being put through that kind of scrutiny for doing it on a real level. He ain't killed anyone. He's not dropping bombs on innocent people. He's not cutting money from the old age pensioners. He's not cutting money from schools. He isn't making nurses work 80-hour weeks and underpaying them. Like he's not a cruel human being for going, I fancy going to the best team in England at the moment, especially with how much they're spending and what they're building. I want to be part of that. He's not nice. Newcastle fans don't have to like him anymore. They can take his legendary status away. They're within their rights to do it. But these types of articles are just not needed. And I know what Luke Edwards will say. I think it's in the public interest of Newcastle fans to know this. Then why sit on it all summer, you bellend? Why sit on it all summer if it's within their best interest? You're releasing it now as a way of, again, deflecting away from how terribly you've covered this article all summer. An horrendous hit piece, and that's all it is. It's a hit piece to damage his character, and Aaron, you're spot on. He's going to sit behind the industry insiders. My sources told me. You know, I can't make the accusation that he's made it up because he could probably take me to court. But I would understand why some people would suggest there's a possibility that it's made up because industry insiders. So, yeah, look, terrible form from Luke Edwards. But then he's been atrocious all summer. And I think he's actually lost 10 times as many followers and respect from the Newcastle fan base than he has gained for this behaviour. Because I just don't think Isak deserves it at all. Maybe that's just me.
It also says in a very, because obviously he's done a timeline, right?
Yeah.
So is in May 2024, it says it was 16 months ago Newcastle first realised they would have an issue with Isak, right? So it's actually last summer that the conversations about Isak were being internally discussed about his future, right? And it says Chelsea made a tentative approach to assess whether they could buy Isak, and an asking price well in excess of £150 million was quoted, right? 2 paragraphs later, it said, when Isak discussed the the move with Newcastle, they said, you're not for sale at any price. So within 2 paragraphs, you've gone from the price is 150 million to you're not for sale at any price. So it's kind of like this is what I'm talking about. It's like Newcastle fans, I think, have a right to be pissed off with the way that these guys have covered the story, because I've seen it. I spoke to Newcastle. I've been on loads of shows with Newcastle fans over the last 6 months, and I get why. They've been telling everybody that no, Isak's not going anywhere. We're not selling him. We're refusing to sell. He's not for sale. And I've been like, okay, whatever. This is what you're telling me. And they're saying this is what our journalists are saying. They're telling us he's not for sale at any price, and that's just BS. That was always BS. So they've been misled by the journalists. Yeah. Now, whether that's the journalist's fault or whether that's the people who are telling the journalists, I don't know that. Again, only the journalists are going to know the truth about what's happened. You know, if the top dogs at Newcastle have been telling them, yo, we're not selling this guy at any price, they go, okay, well, we'll tell the Newcastle fans that in an article. It's not the journalist's fault, right? But at the same time, should you not be experienced enough to know that that's probably BS? Like, we all know there's everyone's got a price, right?
Even today, Man United journalists are saying that at no point this summer was a goalkeeper that much of a priority. But every Man United fan worth their salt reads that and goes, that can't be true. We were making loan inquiries to Emi Martinez in June. So the idea that it wasn't some type of priority doesn't make sense. But when you listen to what our journalists said in their articles, it was Man United are stating this. However, they've done this, that, and the other. The likes of Luke Edwards didn't do that this summer. It was very much, they've said no, it will be no. There's no other side to this story. Isak's now making this statement, but this ain't true. This is actually what happened. It was, and I get why Newcastle fans have been suckered in. If they think, you know, even in our group chats the other day, the Newcastle fans in there were like, no, Luke Edwards is respected. He knows the game. He understands things. And I'm sitting there going, guys, I think you're being a little bit indoctrinated here. Read the room. I think Newcastle have used the likes of Luke Edwards to help publicly negotiate, like all our clubs do. But Luke Edwards has taken it all literally like it was the truth. We as football fans are sitting there going, Liverpool aren't shutting this down. And Liverpool walk away from every transfer that they know is impossible. They're very good at it. They go, fuck this, too hard. Let's move on to another target. The fact that all summer, not one member of the Liverpool media shut it down and said that is going to happen. It was always Liverpool hold a confidence. Liverpool are still looking. Liverpool won't just walk away. Even when they said Liverpool won't bid again, they said until they get encouragement from Newcastle. If you've followed Liverpool, forget Newcastle, if you've followed Liverpool for more than 2 or 3 years, when their press are talking like that, you know there's a real chance that deal happens. And it was the way that was just ignored. That is really what upset me this summer. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I know we all get annoyed at the language from transfer journalists and it can be frustrating with market opportunities and, you know, as it stands, some people don't like that. But we've all kind of learned to read the transfer index language and matrix. We all know what they kind of mean by the things that they say. And all summer we had at United up until we got Šeško. Yeah, Rasmus is part of the plans. He's part of the plans. He's part of the plans. But we could also tell by the players we were pursuing that he wasn't. But you just have to read between the lines. And they've done a terrible job this summer. They really have. This year
can I add something on?
Of course you can. Yeah, of course.
So obviously the tweet you're saying as well is from April onwards, the suggestions are that he's down tools. Now, listen, what the stat I'm going to bring you ain't exactly electrifying, especially given his own standards prior to this date of April that he set. But in the 9 games that remained since he's saying he's down tools, he scored 4 and assisted 1. Now, I'm not saying that's blown everything out of water, like, oh, wow, unbelievable. But that doesn't also suggest to me he's down tools either. You know, in the 9 games, he scored 4 and got and assisted 1. That don't scream to me, Geezer's down tools. If he's scoring in his previous 9, yeah, that's it. If in his previous 9, if he's got 15 and then he's got absolutely sod all in his previous 9, I'm not saying I'll believe it, but I'd at least look and go, well, yeah, maybe he did drop off a form. But I think that's just fair enough. Towards the end of the season, he's won Newcastle's first trophy in probably, 50, 60 years. There'll be Newcastle fans in there that will correct me for the dates. It's there or thereabouts. He's done his sort of thing. I know they still have Champions League qualification to go for, but essentially getting that trophy over the line was there. Maybe there was a little bit of a hangover. But I don't think 4 goals and an assist was down in tools or muggy from Isak. I just don't think there's any concrete evidence whatsoever, even from the player's performance, to suggest that. I think it's backed yet.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I do. Link group chats need to see what Newcastle fans said. Well, that's a private group chat with friends in it, so you're not coming into it, my friend, and seeing what we said. I'm just telling you, like, these guys like him and they back him and they said he's good. You know, that's it. But yeah, no disrespect, you're not coming into that group chat. You want to come into the Football Terrace member group chat, you're welcome. Become a member. We'll send you the link. Get it done, my friend. But in that group chat, we've got 3 or 4 Newcastle fans in there, and they're very much against Luke Edwards. We've got a lot of good Newcastle fans who follow the Football Terrace that were very, very fair about this. And as Karen says here, Isak scored in the final. Like, Isak scored the most important goal in 70 years for this. I get why their fans are angry. I do get it. I understand. I'm not saying they should respect him anymore. I'm not saying they should like him anymore. I'm not saying they should wish him well, even to a certain extent. You know, no one's telling Newcastle fans how to feel that way. Where I feel for Newcastle fans is I feel like they've been lied to by the majority of their press all summer. I don't think their club has lied to them. The club is just doing what all clubs do, public negotiations. But maybe that's why it stood out, that the rest of us see what our clubs say, and we kind of know there's PR in there and public negotiations. We all understand it. Where some Newcastle journalists were printing it like it was red. Like, no. They've made a It was only last Monday. They all came out one by one, all the press, and went, Newcastle overnight have made a definitive decision. He will not be sold. That's final. My club. The next day, it was on a Sunday they said that. The Monday, they were like, oh, the owners are in town to watch the game against Liverpool tonight and to meet with Isak and then make a decision on what they're going to do with him. And I'm like, hang on. Yesterday, each and every single one of you said the decision was already made. The next day, they're in Newcastle to make a decision. And you're sitting there and you're like, what's going on? It's inconsistent as the article you spoke about. It really, really was. The evidence directly comes from Callum Wilson.
Where's the evidence of that?
Yeah.
Again, that's just what some random player, like, how does he know? Nobody knows apart from Isak. This is what I'm saying. You can all go, I watched him and he was crap in this game. What? I seen Lionel Messi have a crap game. Does that mean he downed tools and wanted to piss off Barcelona? Like, no, obviously not. Sometimes players have bad games. You can't just say that someone's purposely downing tools, man. That's like, I think that's just crazy, bro. No, and again, I just think that, like, you know, again, Newcastle's are angry in that. And obviously, I know this Newcastle fans are not actually saying this. It's a journalist, right? But at the end of the day, yeah, be pissed off with a player. Facts. Yeah, the player went on strike. And it's gutting that you've lost him to Liverpool. Get that, yeah? And you can be angry. But you've got a British record transfer fee. You've just got an up-and-coming player from Germany who's got mad potential. You've got a proven player in Visser. Newcastle have done all right out of this. Yeah, it's a bit annoying how it took them so long to get the deals across the line, and he would have liked to probably have it done like a month ago or whatever. Probably wouldn't have what it told him, but, you know, it is what it is. At the end of the day, all our clubs have been through this. United lost Ronaldo. Yeah. City raided half his team about 10 years ago. Like, we've had players leave, you know what I mean? Like, it just is what it is. Every club goes for it, man.
Do you think there's an element here? Because I don't know how much you guys have seen of this in the last few years. I think all of our clubs and our fan bases are now used to each other's being spoken about by rivals. We're all kind of used to it over the years. I feel like Newcastle fans have really struggled in the last 4 or 5 years when people start criticizing them, or the amount of times I've seen them get angry over rivals going, I'd love Bruno Guimaraes in my team. You must have seen it when you were linked to him. They just like, why do you want my players for? Yeah. Why?
It's because they're relevant again, though, Terry. You can't have all the pros and none of the cons. So no, Newcastle wasn't doing very well for a little while. For the club and the stature that they are, they deserve to be back in and amongst a conversation. Absolutely. They're a massive, well-supported club. And I quite like their fans, to be fair. But you can't have excellent players like your Brunos, like you say, your Tonali's, your Isaks, and then not expect big clubs to want them. You can't have a great team and expect other great teams that are perhaps bigger in stature or more successful in terms of what they're achieving over the last XYZ years You can't expect them to not try and poach your players. Like LB said, we've had it. You know, it just happens. Unfortunately, you know, it's part of being right up there. You're in the microscope again. You're where you wanted to be, but unfortunately, that comes with its cons. And for cons in terms of Liverpool, it's Liverpool wanting to for Newcastle. Sorry, it's Liverpool wanting your best player. You know, it is what it is. But like LB said again, and I echo it, they've signed 2 players. Young geezer from Germany. They've signed Visser. Move on. Job done, innit? Now that's it. The saga's over. Put a cork in it, and that's it. Move on. It's probably the best thing for Newcastle, the best thing for their fans to just move on from it. Do you know what I mean? Easier said than done, granted, but we all know that's the best thing to do.
Yeah, no, I in terms of expectations now though on Liverpool, LB, I was streaming this morning saying that I think, you know, over the coming years, they've got to be a team now that's not aiming for single trophy seasons. It's got to be retaining Prems. It's got to be Prems and FA Cups, Champions Leagues and League Cups, doubles, Premier League, Champions League doubles. When you add that much quality to an already world-class squad, the expectations for delivering trophies now has to be sky high for Liverpool. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, 100%. You know what I mean? I mean, Liverpool Football Club, massive club, never retained a Premier League. Do you know what I mean? Which is kind of crazy when you think about it. So I think, yeah, number one target for them, I would imagine, is to finally retain a Premier League title, which they've never done. And then go for the Champions League. I mean, you're looking around Europe, you know, Real Madrid looking a bit dodgy, you know what I mean? Bayern Munich, I don't know, man. Like, they've got some decent players, but they're not the strongest they've ever been. I think Liverpool now should be fighting on all fronts. I mean, I was quite critical of Liverpool last year in January, and I think rightly so, because I think there was a real opportunity for Liverpool, last year to have an incredibly special season. Yeah, I mean, I felt the Champions League was there for them if they wanted it, and the 2 domestic cups that they were in, and they didn't sign anyone in January. Now, in the end, they still won the Premier League, so obviously it's still a great season. But I remember having conversations with Liverpool fans saying, why are you not going into the market? You know, go into the market and strengthen your team and really go for it and see if you can win multiple trophies in one season. They didn't, and I still think that was a mistake. But now they've signed all these players. I think there's a real opportunity for Liverpool to create a little bit of a dynasty, which makes me sick. But you know, I think they could. I think for the next, why not for the next 3, 4, 5 years? Could Liverpool not go on and win multiple Premier Leagues, multiple Champions Leagues, multiple domestic cups, doing doubles? Maybe they can go for a treble or a quad or whatever. So I think they've got a squad now. They are a little bit light in the centre back position. I think obviously that Mark Guehi signing would have been. I think that would have topped it all off if they would have got in, but obviously
they'll get him in January, wouldn't they?
I think they will, and that's fine. You know what I mean? You can't win anything in the first 5 months of the season anyway. But if they can get him in January, then they are fully set in the second half of the season to put the pedal to the metal and just go for it. So, yeah, I mean, what can you say? I think it's clearly a 10 out of 10 window. And yeah, it's pretty sickening, man. You know what I mean? It is. I mean, as a rival fan, I'm looking at it going, I just need Van Dijk to fall off, or I need Salah to fall off. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I need as a rival fan, because otherwise they're set, man. So now it's fantastic business. And obviously after doing nothing last season, the owners and the board needed to do something big, and they've gone and spent 400 million. So fair dues to them, man. Like, this is how the club should operate. You know, they've got the money there. They've got the PSR capacity there. That's what clubs should be doing. That's what Arsenal should be doing year on year. That's what City should be doing year. This is how clubs should be doing it, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, you buy the best players, you win trophies. Liverpool bought the best players. They're probably going to win stuff this year. It's not rocket science. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. Do you know what? If Arsenal, say, I know you touched on it, and I know we'll speak on Arsenal in a little bit, so I won't make this point long. But if Arsenal had the window that they'd had this season 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago after that 22-23 season, you're probably looking at a team that's won a Premier League and a trophy. You know, you've got to be doing it. If you've got the dough there, these are the kind of windows that you need to have to try and compete up the top. Do you know what I mean? You don't just need to do it 1 year. You need to do it sort of regular. I agree with you, LB. And do you know what you're saying about Liverpool last January? I also agree in the point that, yeah, if they'd have done something, they weren't that far away from the Champions League, really, were they? In terms of what you're saying, a special season. If they'd have invested 25% in the players that they'd have done this summer to what they'd have had there, maybe they could have kicked on just that extra gear. And it reminds me of the Arsenal, I think, was it about 18 months ago in the winter window? I think it was the season we finished 2 points behind you boys. I thought, do you know what? Maybe if you'd have just spent 20, 30 million on an even Tony, just a striker, just to put the ball in the back of the net to get you them extra 2 points, maybe you're talking about Arsenal slightly differently. So I do agree with you in Mikel Arteta's own words. You've got to maximise all of these windows, and when you don't, usually you suffer, didn't you?
Yeah. Right. No, listen, I agree. I don't think they should feel any. There's obviously all the stick going around and the Klopp comments coming out. He said they couldn't spend this way, couldn't do this. I think Klopp was probably telling the truth at the time. I think at that stage when he said it, I don't think Liverpool were sanctioning spending this kind of money. But this is 3 or 4 years later, continuous Champions League qualification, winning more trophies, revenues have grown. So now they've moved into this realm of doing it. And they weren't ever small spenders before. I think they've sat comfortably in the top 4, top 5 spenders consistently for 30 plus years in the Prem. And if you go back the 2 decades before that, so for the last 50 years, I bet if you added it up, whether you add inflation or not, they'll be sitting in the top 4, top 5 spenders in top flight English football history. So then they've never believed this idea that they're paupers, but the expectation's got to come with it. It has to come with it. And it isn't in isolation, because we're going to talk Arsenal, we're going to talk City in a moment, and Chelsea, and the YouTube boys, especially LB, often go in on Chelsea around what they should be expecting to do after the amount of money that they spent. We had a big debate about this last week. And some say, I had a few comments earlier today saying, Terry, should there not be more pressure on Arsenal because they haven't won any major trophies in the last 4, 5, 6 years? And I think there's a fair argument in there. But for me, this isn't about who is facing more pressure. It's the fact that you're all under pressure, and we're talking about to win the major trophies. Man United are not under pressure to win the Premier League this year. We're under pressure to develop a team that could conceivably challenge for it and win it in the years to come. There are some fans that, well, I'm just not happy until we're there, and that's fine. You don't have to be happy with it, but it's a different type of pressure. And what Liverpool have done is they've added world-class talent. Some of the best players in our league is in the likes of Kirkes, was one of the best left backs. They've added the best striker outside of Erling Haaland to their team as an example. They've, of course, gone out and got Frimpong and Wirtz, 2 of the best players from Germany. Wirtz, one of the best 10s in the world, according to many individuals. Yeah, they've even promoted youngsters from their academy, like the likes of young Rio, that have already come in and made an impact this season and won them a massive couple of points. That could be all the difference come the end of May. The expectations are huge, and I think retaining a Premier League title is one of them. Having a multiple trophy winning season is another, because surely Liverpool's aim is to replicate and or to surpass what they did in the 70s and 80s. Me as a Man United fan, I don't just want to challenge for a league title again. I'm greedy. I want us to get to a point where we could try and do a treble again. Because what I would love is to be the first team ever to do 2 trebles in England, because that's a record apart. I'd love to be the first team to do a quad. I mean, I always felt the team that does that's an accolade you always have. You're the first to do it. It's even if somebody else replicates it. Like how do you win a better quad? I don't know. You could theoretically do a better invincible season if you win more points. And if you went invincible, got 20 more points and won the Champions League, you could say that invincible season's better because you won more, you won extra trophies. But if you do a quad first, how do you better it? Well, maybe some more wins and points potentially, but it's hard to do. So Liverpool should be aiming for that. Doesn't mean if you just win the Premier League or just win the domestic trophies, you should lose your minds. But there's got to be a certain level of pressure to deliver something special with the squad you have, the team that you have built, not just because of the money, but the quality of players that you have. That expectation has got to be there. And I don't mean it in a way to try and, I don't know, some people take it as you're trying to like demean them a little bit. Like some of the responses I see, I'm like, no, I don't really think it is. This is an interesting comment though from PD. PD says, for me, Liverpool's window is very overrated. They have 1 left winger, 1 right winger, 2 strikers, 1 attacking midfielder, 16-year-old and Chiesa covering multiple positions, 1 injury in defense away from a crisis. They bought quality, but you need
I disagree with this. I disagree with this comment, PD. So they've got Isak, who can play as a striker, Ekatike, who plays striker, but Isak and Ekatike can also both play left wing. They've got Gakpo, who's outperforming, who's playing on the left wing. Obviously, Salah, yeah, but you can't really have an amazing backup right winger when Salah's there, yeah, because they're never going to play because Salah's there. Defensively, I agree, but we've just spoke about that. We said, I think they'll go back in for Mark Guay in January and get him. But, I don't think it's a necessity for them to have him at the moment because you can't win any trophies in the first half of the season, right? So the only place I agree with you here is the centre-back, but they can go and get that in January and that'd be fine. So I think it's fine, man. They got, like I said, they got Gakpo who can play left wing, Ekatike can play left wing, and so can Isak, yeah. And then strikers have got Isak and Ekatike. I think they've got more than enough. I think it's just a centre back position, but the centre back position they can go and sort out in January, man. So I think they're fine, bro. I'll be real.
I mean, aside from just quickly, obviously, to add on to that, aside from a Diaz leaving, that's basically the team added on their whole summer that won the Premier League last year. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, they have lost not so much and added quite a lot. So
they've added they've added Leone in, and there's a lot of hype and a lot of anticipation about how good he is. I would say if they had a bit of bad luck and Konate and Van Dijk both picked up a medium-term injury and missed 2 or 3 months, that could stop them winning the league. That they may drop enough points in that period where they don't win the league after not getting Mark Gahey, and there may be an inquiry into spending 450 million but being a little bit short of the back. But as you say, January will come and they're probably going to go and get him, and I still think they have enough firepower to win a lot of games, even if they're a little bit short. So I wouldn't say it's an overrated window. I think it is one of the best windows that a Premier League team has ever had. But at the same time, I think Arsenal's is up there with it as well. I think Arsenal have just had the best window in their club's history. I can't think of a better window in terms of the amount spent, the quality of player, the depth they've added to their squad. I think now it's all and we'll probably transition into this in a few moments. But now for me, the expectation on Arsenal is Arteta to get the very best out of this group, because there aren't many better squads in world football currently than Arsenal's. When you actually go through the players they have, the depth and the balance, they should be expecting something massive. So, yes, they're a PD. I'm not sure who you support. I think you're an Arsenal fan, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. I don't think Liverpool's summer is overrated, but he's actually just come back again with another comment here that says, that's all fine, LB. But if Ekatike or Isak, more likely him, breaks down, you don't have rotation options, 2 games a week. I
just think that, you can do that about any team, though, PD. If Rodri breaks his leg, the City are fucked. You know what I mean? If Saka gets injured for Arsenal foot, like we can do that about any team. Case are all right. At the end of the day, Liverpool have gone out, they spent 400 million, they bought quality players, and that's it for me. What happens if Mbappe gets injured? What happens if Vinny Jr. gets injured?
Yeah.
What about if Yamal gets injured? Yeah. What about if Dembele gets injured? Jean Neves, like, we can do that. Kane at Bayern, you can literally do that about any player, man. Like, bro, listen, I'm a City fan. I would love you to be right and me sitting here saying, you know what? Yeah, Liverpool's it's mad overrated, but I just don't think it is. I just don't think it is at all. I think, yeah, I get you. I agree on the centre back position, but they're going to adjust that in January with getting Gueye through the door. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, I agree. All About Arsenal here says the Isak accusations sound wild. His conduct may cause people to think that they may be truth to this. Your behavior can invite all sorts of conspiracies. It can do, but at the same time, there's got to be some grounds for it, as an example. And equally, I don't think Isak has behaved any different to the majority of footballers or clubs. Clubs are more, I've said it for years, clubs are more ruthless than players. There are academy players that spend 10 years dedicated to your club. They turn down this club, that club, the other, this academy, that academy, this option, this option. Then they can get to 16 and be told, 17 and be told, yeah, we don't want you no more. You're on the scrap heap. Goodbye. The whole game is full of ruthlessness. You saw the way Man United got rid of Rasmus. He's like, but I thought you were keeping me. We've got a better option now, we think. See you later. Boom. Bye. And I don't care, because I want my club to get better. I also don't. Look at the bomb squad did to Man United this summer. Many Man United fans losing their minds. I'm like, no, we can't advocate for their behavior to be reprimanded, but then be able to behave the way we want to be, ruthless as a football club to players we don't want. It either has to work in both ways or for neither. If players can't force moves, then clubs shouldn't be able to force players out and to keep them to the end of their contracts and keep paying them. For me, I look at it as we have to have it fair in both directions, whether it's ruthless and callous or not. We can't just pick and choose. I know we're all flawed because we all want our teams to do the best possible, but no, I don't think there's anything Isak's done that makes me think he tried to sabotage the end of Newcastle's season. Crazy to me. Speaking of sabotage, we'll come back to some more super chats in a bit. Is your defense sabotaging your season, LB? Because It was another poor day in the office for you guys, and many people talking about a bit of a mini crisis at Man City.
I think there's still a lot like that's going on, man. I'll be real with you. Like, I don't know, man. We just look like a very, very fragile team in that when something small goes wrong, it's just affecting the side. Like, you remember a couple of years ago, there was a period of time in the season, I think it was the treble year, where it was like 10 games, like in the space of 20 matches, where we kept on going 2-0 down, but we won every single game. And like when we went 2-0 down, we wouldn't just be sitting there thinking, oh, we can get a draw. We'd still be thinking we can win the game at 2-0 down. Unfortunately, 2-0 down, I don't even think we're going to get a point anymore. Like the team's mentality seems really shook. You know what I mean? And when that happens, it works both ways. You know, when your team's riding the waves and they've got so much confidence, nothing can stop them. And you go 2-0 down, and you can still win football matches because there's a air of invincibility about your side. But it goes both ways. When your confidence is low and your mentality is not there, you're just shook. And I just think we need to go back to basics, man. Try and just scrap wins, no matter how. Like, forget about playing well. Forget about, you know, tiki-taka football. Forget about all the fancy stuff and just get wins. You know what I mean? And at the moment, we're not doing that. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of stuff that we can go into, but there's a lot of stuff that all. It's not just one thing. It's not just the defense. I think, you know, managerial team selection is one. Managerial in-game tactics is another. Players just not doing the basics right. Experienced players not playing, showing experience on the football pitch. Then you're talking about, your actual defending, keeping the ball, not giving the ball away in stupid areas, being clinical. Do you know what I mean? We had at 0-0 against Spurs. We had a huge chance with Marmouche put us 1-0 up. Don't take it. They go down the other end and score. First half against Brighton, we had 2, 3, 4 opportunities to score. Only take one of them. You get pinned. So there's loads of stuff going on at the moment, man. But we've got to fix it quickly, because obviously you lost 2 games out of your first 3. Apparently that's the worst start we've had since 2004. And our record against the traditional top 6 sides is, in the last 2 years, I don't know if you guys know, how many games you reckon we've won against the last top 6 in the last 2 years? So last year when we were bad, and the year before we won the league, how many wins? There's 21 games we played.
5 wins.
21 games. What are you saying, Aaron? How many do you reckon we've won?
I thought it was going to be a less than that. I reckon about 4. Yeah.
We won 6 out of 21.
Wow.
And by the way, that includes a title winning season. So we're really struggling. Yeah, we're really struggling against the top teams. You saw that last year in the Champions League. Didn't even get into the knockout stages. Poor against Real Madrid. Getting beat. You know, drawing against Feyenoord. Like, we're struggling. Any decent team at the moment, we're struggling against. And obviously, our next 2 games are against traditional. I say traditional because United are one of them. Traditional top 6 sides. You got United at home and then Arsenal away. And I'm being honest with you. I think we'll get beat against Arsenal. I've got zero hope we'll beat Arsenal. I don't think we'll get a point out of it. So you have to beat United just to stay in relative touching distance, man. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's loads of stuff going on. Listen, I think the signings that we've made are a positive. Are they enough? I don't think they're going to be enough to win us the league. I got to be honest with you. But they should be enough to keep us in sort of conversation, man. I think Donnarumma's a fantastic signing. I'm over the moon with that. Obviously, Rodri's back, which is great. He played quite well against Brighton, so that's good news. But I don't know, man. Listen, I'm kind of glad the international break's here. You know, I think the players need to play. I think they need to get some minutes in the legs. I don't know if you watched the first half, but the first half against Brighton, which was actually pretty good in the first half, there were still signs of rustiness. So I actually want the players to play. I know a lot of people don't want their players to play in the international break. I actually want the City players to play. I think they need to get minutes, and then they need to come back, and then you have to win the games. That there's no more, because you've got off to such a bad start. Yeah, then you're under pressure. We're already under pressure to deliver wins.
That Man United, listen, we haven't been great. I actually think we've performed better in games. We haven't scored the goals, but there's a chance we go to the Etihad and beat you. We beat you last year when we weren't good either. to lose 3 on the bounce out of your opening 4 games. I mean, I'm not saying you can never win the title in the first 4, 5, 6, 7 games of the season, but you could end up being 9 points off top that early. And it doesn't matter that there's still 34 games left. Turning around a 9-point swing when you say your record against your fellow kind of top 6 sides, especially the title contenders, is so poor. You're at a stage where you're not out the race, but you're not far off. Do you know what I mean? There's only so many points you can be behind that early until you say, well, how are you going to turn it round? And I swear you play Arsenal after Man United. Or
yeah, we've got United, Napoli, Arsenal in our next 3 games, which
you lost the bounce against us.
It's looking really bleak based off of the last couple of years of playing big teams. We have struggled. So, this is it for me now. Like, you spent 300-400 million quid in the last 2 transfer windows. Yeah, Rodri's back. You've got one of the best goalkeepers in world football. There's no more excuses. We have to deliver the goods. Yeah, you can't just be fucking losing all these games against anyone slightly decent.
You lose those games against United and Arsenal, and maybe my hot take of Pep quitting by Christmas comes true, bruv.
Well, I'm starting to think. I started to think Pep's going to go at the end of the season anyway. I don't think he's going to walk halfway through the season. I don't think City would ever sack him, but I'm just starting to get the feeling that he's just going to go at the end of the year and City going to make a change.
Something your manager said years ago, before he was a City coach, about Sir Alex. I'm not going to remember it verbatim, but he basically said, forget the trophies, forget the records, forget the brilliance, forget the tactics. He went, the bit about him that I've got the most admiration for is how he kept himself motivated for 25 years at one club. And at the time, Pep had done no more than 4 years at a club. And I think that people forget this. Pep is still a fantastic manager. He's one of the greatest of all time. Even if you came 6th this year and didn't win a trophy, for me, it doesn't undo what he has achieved. And I stand on that. He could just have got to a point, and this is elite sport. So 5% is massive. If he's 5% off the pace in sense of, imagine just cutting a little corner here and cutting a little corner there and not doing this extra bit of study in there and being a little bit lax with players when they don't do things right there. I'm talking little bits. That starts to add up over time, because it isn't like in these games you're losing. Really, it's not like you're disgustingly bad for 90 minutes and you're being battered. It's often you're in the game, you're there or thereabouts, and something bad happens and you're just not able to recover. And often, Man United, we've been crap for 13 years and got worse. And it's because we don't have the right day-to-day standards. And I just get this little feeling with Pep that maybe he's just had enough, even if he hasn't realized it himself yet. Does that make sense? It's just like mental fatigue. He's been at you guys the best part of a decade. Even in the 70s and 80s, that's a long time to be at a football club. The media scrutiny. No, he hasn't. And exactly. And the media scrutiny now, the pressure that you're under, the level that he was at as well, to maintain that. There could just be this element of, I'm not saying he will walk. It's a hot take. It is what it is. I think you're right. He probably wouldn't get sacked mid-season. But you might find that if he left tomorrow and you went out and got another world-class coach, you might find a bit like Liverpool with Slot, that your team just clicks back into gear because a new voice is as good, a change is as good as a rest. And there's a new emphasis and a new voice, maybe not even massively different instructions, but just coming from somebody new. Like there's a bit of a stoutness there. But I watched him in that last 30 minutes on Sunday, and this isn't any smoke because I'm not in a position to do that to any team. It didn't feel like I was watching Man City. It didn't feel like a Pep team. You had class players on the pitch. You couldn't string passes together. And I don't mean it rudely against Brighton, but the last 3 times they've played you, if you're an alien coming out of space and you never watched football before and you watched those games and said, which ones did a 4-peat, which ones did the treble, which one have the greatest manager of a generation, I don't think you could tell the difference. And that for me is something you could always, City's teams have just been so much better in the last 8 years than everybody else, barring a couple of years with Liverpool and Arsenal. But yeah, it doesn't look great right now. And listen, I'm probably going to end up eating my words here, but United have got a chance of going to the Etihad and winning, and I don't feel like we have a chance of winning in most games. But for some reason, playing City, I feel like there is. There really is.
I can't disagree. That is the fact. Like I say, it's put up or shut up time now for City, because if we don't win the next 2 games, or at least get a minimum of like 4 points, like you could say that it's looking bleak after 5 games. You know what I mean? And that is pretty shambolic, really. Like not even the top glazers can say anything about that. Like that is just a fact. So Listen, like I say, I think it's good the players are going on international break. I want them all to get minutes. I need them to come back fitter, less rusty, and then it's no excuse time. Like, you know, go play United, who are terrible at the moment, and go and get the 3 points and just build from there. But I'm not really looking at performances right now. I'm already in the just get me 3 points stage, you know. Because the thing is that after the next 2 games, after United and Arsenal, I think we've got like 3 like winnable games. I think we've got like Burnley, Bournemouth, or someone like for three teams that really should be winning. So we can, you know, you can quite quickly get yourself on a little bit of a run, and then all of a sudden the confidence comes back. You start playing better, and before you know it, you're on a 10-match winning streak. But you've got to start somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So why not start against United and Arsenal?
LB, to counter that, if you get a draw at home to Manchester United, which will be a poor result, and you get beat by Arsenal away, is it curtains for you boys? I'm looking at it as already curtains. I mean, you could be 10 points behind that. So you got to look at the flip side. I mean, I know you boys turn into monsters usually at the second half of the season, but being a possible 9 or 10 points behind after 5 games,
It's not looking good, is it?
I mean, that wouldn't be, like I said, we don't know what's going to happen. It's just a hypothetical reverse of the scenario you had. Yeah, if you get minimum of 4 points and then you've got 3 games where you're expecting to beat, season's back on track. Do you know what I mean? It just is. Have a bad result, and then the 4 points turns into one over them 2 games, and you're in trouble. Massive trouble. You're sort of looking at it, but thinking, well, there's another year sort of done and dusted. You're looking at European and the domestic things, because I don't think the way Liverpool are rolling at the minute, and no one knows. No one's got a crystal ball. No one knows how Liverpool going to do in their next 2 fixtures. But it'll be difficult to get out of that rut, I reckon.
You don't want a 9-10 point gap that early, because it's hard enough winning the league as it is, let alone, you know, essentially it's like starting the season with a points deduction when you lose that many games that early in a campaign. Ronin here says maybe all the BS you chat about buying success doesn't work so well. Could you need a new foundation? KDB took the success with him.
Well, hilariously, the reason we're in this mess is because we've not bought well enough. So yeah, it's another L from you, Ronin. The whole reason Manchester City are in this mess is because since the treble year, we've bought terribly. We've let players like Kyle Walker, the best Premier League right back of all time, leave the football club. Guess who we replaced him with? We didn't replace him. We're letting Matthias Nunes fucking do it. Yeah, we let Mahrez leave the football club. We replaced him with Jeremy Doku. Yeah, our 2 centre backs have declined. We haven't bought a top class centre back, and they've both declined. So the whole reason we're in this mess is because we've spent money, but we've spent it badly.
Yeah.
Savio, not good enough. Doku, not good enough. We've not got a right back. Our 2 centre backs are declining. We've bought Phillips, Nunes, and Nico Gonzalez. None of them are probably good enough to start. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's the whole reason we're in this mess. If we would have bought better, we would have not been in this mess. If we would have bought Elise, proven Premier League player, over Savinho, we would have had a winger with output. So this is just a hilarious super chat because it's literally completely wrong.
It's mad, really, when you think about it. Like the signings, I've always said this: if you're going to be a successful team, you know, most of your signings have to be right over the ones, and you're always, no matter who you are, no matter what team you are, you're always going to get signings wrong. That is just an inevitable. You cannot get them all right, especially over a sustained period. But usually the more successful teams get the most transfers right out. They don't. And you did over a good few years, LB. You were getting the vast majority, probably more of the signings, whether they be smaller signings, whether they be the 50, 60 million signings. By and large, you've always got them right. Over the last 2 or 3 years, maybe more so too, you've got more wrong. And there's no real shocking correlation between I wouldn't say nosedive, that's massively unfair, but your decline, I think, is probably fair to say, in terms of position and challenging and authority that you've had over the last few years and the signings that you've made. And then obviously, unfortunately, the signings that you've had to let go, i.e. through age, your Kyle Walkers, your Mahrez, your KDBs, etc., you've got to replace them adequately to stay there on top. And you've done that very successfully over a very long period of time. But over the last 2 years, you just haven't.
Well, it seems to me like they've changed transfer strategy over the last 2 years. And why you do that when you've just had 8 years of unprecedented success in this country? Why you change strategy because what we used to do, right? We used to buy, obviously there are the exception like Haaland, right? But we used to buy players who were on the cusp of being world class, but maybe you wouldn't call them world class at the time of buying, but they were very close. So like your Kevin De Bruyne's, right? He ripped it up in the Bundesliga, like player of the year when we signed him. But people still said, why the hell is City signing Kevin De Bruyne? It's not that good, right? But obviously he was a top player. Kyle Walker, top player, but again, question marks, but he was a top player on the cusp of becoming a world-class player. Bernardo Silva. Yeah, these sort of players, right? Mahrez at Leicester. Like players in that sort of 40 to 60 million pound bracket. We very rarely went over 60 million pound. Yeah, we was always buying these players at 40 to 60 million, proven players who were on the cusp of becoming world-class. And then since we won the treble, we seem to have deviated from that and started buying players much lower on the development sort of pyramid. Yeah. So like we're going for the young, basically what Chelsea have been doing, which hasn't worked. And now look, it's not working for City. So we started buying players like Savio, who had one season at Girona. Doku, who didn't even have a good season at Stade Rennes. Do you know what I mean? Players like this, you can't let talent walk out the door, world-class play, genuine world-class players, and replace them with unproven youth thing. This is what I've been cooking Chelsea for the last years, and my club has started doing it now. What I would say is, it looks like, based off of this summer transfer window, I think they recognise that they've made mistakes. Yeah, because look at who they've signed: Donnarumma. Yeah, look at who they've signed: Reinders. Yeah, Cherki. Obviously, we would have preferred Wirtz. I would have preferred Wirtz, but you didn't get Wirtz. Whatever, you've gone for Cherki. Aït-Nouri, proven Premier League player. So it looks to me like this summer they've recognised the mistakes and they've reverted back to what they were doing so well. The question will be, has the damage already been done? And therefore, is it going to take another summer? And then next summer we'll go in, get some wingers who are actually proven, and then we'll go again. That's the big question.
Well, Man United made those mistakes even towards the end of Fergie's time. So we had Vidic and we had Rio as our two centre backs. Yeah, and I remember talking about this at the time. I liked that the prospects of Chris Smalling and Phil Jones were very good prospects. I won't rewrite history.
Yeah.
Phil Jones even more so. But injuries in their earlier years cost them. But also we were in this situation. And if you buy prospects, you can't just wait for the stars to leave before you start giving the prospects game time as they go through 2 or 3 years where they don't develop. So I think there was a combination of injuries and they were never really given a starting berth because Vidic and Rio were there and they didn't develop. So you have to get the balance right. If you're going to go and get a winger like a Doku, you've got to bring him in before you sort of need him and you start integrating him in the team like you did with Rodri. There was a crossover period with Fernandinho.
Completely agree.
That is what you've got to do. You can't do it with too many positions at once. So Man United, what they should have done with Phil Jones, he should have essentially come in, be bled in for a few months, and then he probably should have replaced either Rio or Vidic before Rio or Vidic were ready to completely move on, so that he got that development at 19, 20, 21 years of age. So by the time both of them have gone, he has that experience to be the next leading centre-back as an example. Or you go out and buy a world-class centre-back and you do an instant replacement, no phasing in or out. And you've got to get that right. If you don't think they're ready for it, then maybe we should have got a Phil Jones. And I don't remember who the world-class centre-backs were back then off the top of my head. I have to go back and look. But you buy one of the world-class guys. Go and get Bonucci in his pomp. You bring him in as a replacement for one of them a couple of years before they're past their best. And then you nurture Phil Jones so that when Rio then moves on, he's ready to step in. You've got to get that balance right. And I think you're correct. The recruitment's been poor in that way.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to.
That's all right, mate. Go on, mate.
Do you know what a good case in point is as well? Is Real Madrid do it very well all the time. You look at that midfield when they had Casemiro, Modric, Toni Kroos. They bought very young, as we know, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, and Bellingham to integrate them. Just obviously they knew they were getting old. Kroos and co weren't going to go forever, but they carried on. They'd done that little merger where they had probably at least two of them at the same time as that midfield three to basically show them this is what it means to play for Real Madrid. These are the standards that you have to have, and this is basically what you got to do. And I think that's exactly what you're saying. You've got to have that merging point. Otherwise, it's a stopgap, isn't it? You know, you come from, you get a young player that sort of don't really know what they're doing, don't really know what the club's about, haven't got anyone world class to learn off. I think they've sorely missed that. And
that's why this summer, I think Arsenal getting Eze, United getting Mbumo. There are also players that there's that Prem-proven nature as well. And I also think City were very good at doing that. John Stones being a standout case in point. Riyad Mahrez being another. They've done it here already. They may not be considered world class. I think Elise was a player that, I know the Germans won't like me saying this, but how the cities of this world let him leave this country when you're at the peak. Man United getting him's hard because of where we were, but City, peak of the powers, best team in the world. Elise should have been a City player or whatever it may be. And that's why this summer, I think it was important for the league is you go out and you go, well, who are the top players that are at the clubs that are easier to buy from? It's hard for City to buy off Chelsea, Man United. Well, impossible for them to get off Man United. Probably impossible for them to get off of Liverpool as an example. But who are these players they can go and get that are delivering in the league, that are already experienced? And I think that I think recruitment is such a key point. This year says Doku, Nunes, Savinho are not good enough. I mean, you have Jeremy Doku. Go.
No, this geezer, man, he's always in my chat, man.
Yeah.
He's
I like him.
Doku.
He's one of the City fans who comes on this show that's very respectful, to be fair. So I love you for that, bro. LB, City currently have 10 first-team injuries, which is no excuse after spending 400 million. Do you think Pep Linder's effect is coming into full effect?
Nah, I think a lot of the injuries that have been reported are just some of the players that don't want to play for the national team, as you see quite a lot. So nah, I think it's too early to say that, man.
I get that.
We had injuries last year, and Pep Linders wasn't here last year, so.
PD says, calm. If they fall off, but because of injuries and fatigue, no excuses then. They bottled the league and fouled spectacularly if they don't fair play.
Yeah. People need to stop making excuses, man, for not winning stuff. Boring, isn't it?
It's hard for me because my team isn't in the title race, but I remember when Chelsea were able to, there was no FFP back then or PSR, and Chelsea's, when Roman came in, spent like we'd never seen anyone spend before. But I remember we were still building a new team at the time. But I loved those seasons where we went head to head with them. We actually came out on top. They won 2 on the bounce. We weren't quite challenging them. Then we did a 3-peat and won a Champions League. And I loved it because we were predicted not to because of City spending power that was better than Man United at the time. And this is the one thing I see a lot of like rivals of Liverpool this year, title rivals of Liverpool, try and play down. They're not had that good a window. It's this, it's that. I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'd be embracing it. If I'm an Arsenal fan right now, I'm going, all right, spend like that. Let everyone praise it up. I'll be up for the fight. If you beat them to the title, there's more bragging rights. Let people say it's been brilliant rather than trying to shit on it. Boxers do make this mistake all the time. They always try and say their opponent's crap. This shit, I beat him easy. They win easy. Told you, rubbish. And then they get questioned 5 years later. Your CV's not very good. Well, I thought this good guy and that same guy you said were crap. If I'm a fighter, I'm telling everyone the guy I'm fighting is wicked. I build my legacy up better. Like imagine you say a team's had a shit window and they're not a very good team or whatever. I'm not saying PD has gone that far. And then you beat them to the title. You're essentially saying you beat a bit of shit. You need to big it up as well and say it's amazing. Then you can boost your own team a little bit more. Play the game. I'm a Newcastle fan. Trust me, I don't like the outcome, but I think we as a club and a fan base have to pause, soak it up and learn from the whole situation. Mark, 100%, bro. I think it is a learning curve for you all because you're back in the big time now, brother. And when you're in the big time, your players are linked to every other club all the fucking time. Get used to it, brother. It's just the nature of the big. I look at it this way, right? But this probably works the same for women, but I don't know because I've never been in a woman's body. Never been in their mind. But you ever get yourself an absolute 10 out of 10 who you just think is the most beautiful woman in the world, and maybe she is. Maybe everybody thinks she's beautiful. And I'm sure women experience this if you get yourself a Brad Pitt, right? The likelihood is when they're out, people are going to talk to them. People are going to show an interest. People are going to slide into DMs. Women at work are going to flirt with your guy because he's really attractive and he's your hunk and they like him. You know, at the end of the day, you know, if that's what you're aiming for, I want someone that looks a certain way. There is something you've got to deal with is that they're going to get attention, both male and female. When you want to be a big team that's competing at the highest level, your players will attract other teams. It's just the nature of the beast. That's it. If you go out with a 3 out of 10, it's very likely that you're not going to feel insecure at any moment, right? Because they might not get any attention. Do you know what I'm saying? That's how I am. Women that date me see me as a 3 out of 10 because they know no one else is going to give me any attention. So they feel very secure. They're like, I'll get with Terry because he's ugly. And then that way, no one else will want him. And I'll feel secure. That's fine. I'm comfortable with it. Do you know what I mean? But I'm saying if you want to be a team at the top, that's like dating a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10s, whether people like it or not, are going to get attention. You got to learn to deal with it if that's the world that you want to live in. Hit that like button, please. Make sure you are subscribing to the channel. This super chat here, thank you. It's such a big donation from Gunner Down Under. It says, big up, lads. Arsenal are copping a lot of stick at the moment about a lack of ambition towards going for all 3 points at Anfield. Let's get it right. Any other team in the Premier League would be happy with the exact thing, but would not cop way more than us. Obviously, this comes at the back. The super chat comes at the back of Arsenal losing at Anfield at the weekend. Obviously, a very good and successful transfer window in terms of depth and quality being added to the squad. What did you make of the performance this weekend? And does it make you concerned about your title aspirations, Aaron?
Well, if you'd have asked me this question 48 hours or 24 hours ago, you'd have probably got a bit more fireworks, but I've had a bit more time to digest it and just colour me a little bit disappointed. I'm sorry, you know. We when you factor in a lot of things, and by factoring that I mean, you know, the amount spent. We've had a really good window. Let me just start with that. We've had a fantastic window. Some really good attacking talent brought into the football club. I expected more. I'm sorry. Shoot me down for it. I just expected a little bit more. I thought, do you know what? Going away at our rivals. If I say this time and time again, if you want something you never had, you need to do something you never did. And Arsenal needed to win and put a statement out away at the Etihad in years gone by, more so than sort of now, and Anfield, and we just haven't been able to manage to do that. So I was very disappointed, very, very, very disappointed with the lineup more than anything. Any sort of form of positivity I had going towards it, and I did. Let's get this right. I sort of I wouldn't say quiet confidence, but I thought, do you know what? It's now or never, Mikel. Show me that you've changed. Where's your catalyst for change? As even Gazidis used to like coining that phrase. Show me you've changed, because the way you've played over the last couple of years, some people will say, yep, we've challenged, but challenging hasn't been good enough over the last couple of years. We can say that with facts because we haven't won anything. So I just thought, do you know what? Go out there and just give them a go. Challenge them. And we know with hindsight, what a great thing, by the way. We know now with hindsight, Liverpool didn't really turn up in that football match 60 to 70 minutes. So now we know with hindsight, Arsenal probably should have taken the game to them. And we didn't. We shit the bed again. And it's just frustrating that the manager, instead of going, do you know what? I've been given £300 million this summer's worth of talent. What I've done over the last 6 seasons that I've managed this football club hasn't worked, especially away at the big teams. Why not just roll the dice and go for it and be attackive and do something you haven't done before, especially away at a big ground, or especially in the last 2 or 3 years? So when I saw that lineup of Mikel Merino on that right 8, and you know without shadow of a doubt that's going to be a very defensive midfield. And then, by the way, I also predicted that he'd play Martinelli. I didn't predict that he'd be playing a defensive right 8. I predicted he'd play Martinelli because he's not really, and let me finish with this, he's not really attacking left winger, is he? Because he don't do anything going forward anymore. Let's just get that right. He don't. But he is a very good defensive left winger in terms of, yeah, Calafiori started this season well. He has. But there will also be that question mark before the game as to whether he can deal with Salah one-on-one. So I could appreciate that he was going to play Martinelli for the more defensive work to try and give you a little bit of cover on the left-hand side. I'm down with that. I'm cool with that. But when you look over at that right-hand side, there was just nothing going forward in terms of attack. You've got Madueke, who probably was the better performer going forward, but it was so disjointed with a Merino, who isn't even a right 8, he's a left 8, if you even call him that. Out there, it just all looks so disjointed on that right-hand side, which is usually the more fruitful side for Arsenal Football Club. So I'm looking at that lineup, and for me, I'm sorry, I know I'm going on, but any sort of positivity, anything I had about Arsenal going to Anfield and going, right, let's go. Let's show them. Why don't we just show the league today? Mikel Arteta had a good audition. I called it a final audition on my channel to show that he's changed, to show that he's going to try something different, to implement all the attacking players that he has within that squad now. And he didn't do it. He's done the same thing he's done over and over again. And what have we done over and over again? We haven't won at these grounds. Now, granted, he's usually draw. People will hide behind the comfort blanket of, well, we haven't beaten to the top 6. It gained nothing. It didn't. We didn't win anything in the period. We was undefeated against the top 6, and now guess what? We're undefeated against them. It was just it was frustrating. I'm sorry. Like, I don't care what anyone says in the chat, what anyone says, anything. It is frustrating that we had a big opportunity to go to Liverpool and put a marker down against a poor Liverpool in hindsight and go there and get a win. What would you have shown the rest of the Premier League? What would you have shown Arne Slot with a 1-0 win? Now, I know easier said than done, or even a 1-1 draw, but an excellent performance where you outperformed them. What would you have shown Pep Guardiola and Arne Slot? Wow, Arsenal are here, aren't they? Yeah, they've turned up. What would you have shown away fans, rival fans, Arsenal fans like me, Arsenal fans like anyone else? You'd have gone, yeah, mate, they're right up for it, Arsenal. They are. That's what you'd have shown. We had an opportunity to do that. And what we've done is revert to the same thing we used to, only we actually lost this game. What is shown the likes of me and all the other rivals, and maybe not the Arteta simps, what is shown is we're going to do the same thing, Einstein, over and over, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. That's what it is. It's craziness to me. It's insanity to me. But Einstein said it better. You know, it's just frustrating that it's such a big missed opportunity for Arsenal Football Club. We've shit the bed it again and we've left skids all the way out of it. It's frustrating, boys. I'm sorry. It's a big opportunity missed. Massive opportunity. Don't know how you boys feel about it.
Well, bro, I've been calling this out for the last couple of years. Every time you come to the Etihad Stadium, you don't actually play to win.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's... and people can go, well, we don't lose. No, you're missing a point, man. You've got to show ambition. You've got to go there and try and win the game. Do you know what I mean? Because you've done this for the last 3 or 4 years and you've not won the league. So you've got to change it up, man.
Yeah.
I think Arteta's scared. I think he's a scared manager in these games. But what separates elite managers from good managers is they make big decisions. And yeah, sometimes they get it wrong. I can give you a whole list of big games where Pep's made a decision and he's got it massively wrong. Champions League final against Chelsea a few years ago, not playing Rodri, Lyon away. Loads of games. Yeah, I'm sure Terry can do it with Fergie where he's done something and it's not worked out. You can do it with Wenger.
Yeah.
But with Arteta, I feel like he doesn't make brave calls. And the thing is, I don't understand is that makes absolutely no sense, is that Arsenal's defence is the best in the league. Yet he feels like he needs to go there and like play this mad defensive game. And it's like, hang on a minute. You've got this incredible defence. And it is an incredible defence. I think it's the best defence, maybe even in Europe. I'll be real with you. I think it's unbelievable. Yeah. Yeah, you go there and you're playing with what? 2 or 3 DMs. And it's like, why?
3 DMs.
How about trust your defence? Go there, go a bit more attacking, and actually let your defenders defend and put them under a little bit of pressure and trust the back line. I get it if Pep Guardiola does it, you know what I mean? Because our defence is nowhere near Arsenal's defence. Yeah, and obviously Liverpool have got a bit more attacking defence when they've got Frimpong and Kirkes, but you actually have an incredible defence, which reminds me a lot of our treble year defence with our back four. Yeah, he goes there and he's like, we need to protect the defence. And it's like, it makes no sense to me why he does that. So I think Arteta gets this wrong. It'll be interesting to see what he does when you come to the Etihad in the second half of the season, because obviously we're not as good as we have been. So will he loosen the chains and really allow the players to go and attack? But I think Arteta's got to get over this scared feeling that he gets when he comes to the Etihad and Anfield. He's got to start allowing the attackers to go there and try and win them the points, man, because ultimately you've done this now for 3 years and you've not won anything. So you've got to change something up, man.
Do you know what's interesting for me? I said it on Sunday that Liverpool did the same, but Arsenal, they were very happy to play risky passes at the edge of their box, but they weren't willing to do it at the edge of Liverpool's box. There was times where Gyökeres got so much stick for that performance, but there was an amount of times he's running on the shoulder of Konate and the ball didn't come through to him. That, yes, it might be cut out and you might concede a counter-attack.
The Martinelli one's hell.
But yeah, the Martinelli one, put him through. He made a great run. I don't think people realize how good that run was from Gyökeres. Yeah. Put that ball into him. He's going to get a chance. That's his bread and butter. Yeah. He might score a goal. I understand, though, where I'll defend Arteta is if this was April, if Arsenal were leading Liverpool by 1 point in the league and you're going to Anfield in April and he goes out and says, we'll play to win, we'll play to try and nick it, but we're going to go there and be very hard to beat. If If you then get beat by a scream with a free kick, you go, do you know what? I understood the approach. Because if you go to Anfield and you're a little bit too open, you could also get beaten. But third game of the season, I think you've got an opportunity to go there, take a few more, don't be gung-ho, but take a few more risks, maybe win, and you don't need to go back to Anfield again for the rest of the season. I don't want to use the word free hit because it has very negative connotations, but there's this element that you could have just taken a few more risks. And I'm only talking about one or two differences in terms of players. For instance, maybe not Moreno, maybe Eze, who's had a full preseason, who's fit and ready to go. Maybe one or two players different like that, different in that regard. Maybe Max Dowman. I saw a lot of people getting angry that Dowman came on. I'm like, no, he should have come on 15, 20 minutes earlier in the game. So for me, listen, I'll always defend managers and clubs when I think the criticism is too harsh. But I felt at this stage of the season, the fact that Arsenal would not, even with the starting lineup, let's say you stick to that and you nullify at Liverpool, you kill the crowd first. Maybe the goal is let's kill the crowd. Let's make it so that we're the dominant team. Maybe 60 minutes into the game, especially when Liverpool started to attack, then play your hand, bring on some more attackers. I just felt the changes all came a little bit too late, including Dowman. I'd have brought him on a little bit earlier. I think you could have taken more risks. And look, would a draw have been a bad result? No. But all it takes is one moment, something special. And it come from Szoboszlai, but I actually thought it was going to be Mo Salah. I thought Mo Salah was going to curl one in the last 5 minutes of the game and win it because they do it so regularly, Liverpool. And I think that I understand the frustration that Arsenal fans have. There's a time to be pragmatic. Sir Alex Ferguson did it on a regular basis, but he would rarely go away to a Chelsea or an Arsenal early in the season and play the same way as if we were neck and neck in a title race with them later in the campaign. And I just think you could have set a little bit of a marker by being a little bit more attacking. Were there positives in the game? Yes. You'd stop one of the best teams in the world at home in their ground. You stop them from playing. So there's things you can take from it. But I do agree. I think a little bit more aggression and more risks.
We all know
that. I agree. That's fair.
You know what I mean? Like, one of the big credits everyone says about Arsenal is that, it's difficult to score against Arsenal. It's difficult to break them down. Where everyone criticizes Arsenal is like, go and win the game then. And that's where they need to improve.
LB, what new did we learn from that? Nothing, because what we all learned, like literally every single one of us, no matter what football team you support, no matter what side of the fence you are with Arsenal Football Club, we all didn't learn anything because we all saw the same thing. And that's where the biggest disappointment for me is. And that's what Tel was just alluding to, where then LB, exactly the same thing. Come on, chat as well. You got to agree, we were sort of hoping that we was going to see something a little new. We're all buzzing from, having a really good, strong summer window. We're all happy with the 6 points out of 6. You've got a real opportunity there to go to Liverpool. And like I said, even if you do get a draw, which, like Tel said, would have been a fantastic point, by the way. When you look at the teams played, 7 points out of the 9, you're going, all right, cool. But get the performance in with it as well. Get the performance in. Show us something new. There's no way that as Arsenal fans, you can't look at that and not be a little disappointed in the performance and the manager's selection. The manager's selection for the team. The second I saw that lineup, I was deflated. I knew exactly what was happening. I knew exactly what would happen. Not because I've got a crystal ball, because I've seen it for 5 years. And that's the frustrating thing. I thought, wow, you really, really, really missed a fantastic opportunity to lay a marker down. Would we have won? Maybe not. Who knows? But I just think it's the way you're setting up. Show us Arsenal fans something. Show us something. Lay the market down and go, yeah, this is how Arsenal are going to play this season. Roll the dice. Please just give me something to believe in, because granted, people will say, yeah, you're challenging, but that is not enough over your 7th season. Challenging. When does it change? When does challenging, boys, chat, turn into expectation with factoring in time spent and money over it?
The expectations are there. The expectations have got to be there, Aaron. I 100% agree.
So when do we expect? Sorry to cut you there. Sorry, that's me, Tel. When do you then expect to go to these away grounds in your title challengers, i.e., an Etihad or a Liverpool, and expect to put in a performance and win? That's what I'm saying. It's now got to the point where you have to start doing that. Case in point, 1998, our season turned around. Mark Overmars against you boys. Come on, 1-0. Tala. What about, sorry, Tel, I'm going to
That
go
still
again.
hurts now.
2002, Sylvain Wiltor, Canu, Talar, hopping over your head. 2004, Robert Pires, screamer in Anfield. Swallow that. That's what I've seen. That's what I expect from them. And LB said this earlier, and I know I'm waffling now. LB said this earlier. That's the difference between good teams and great teams. That is right there. Case and point. Arsenal are a good team, a very good team.
I agree.
But they are not a great team. Why are they not a great team? Because they cannot go away at a title rival and put in that performance that we will never know if it would, but ultimately wins you a title. And Arsenal and most of all the other teams usually have them performances when they win titles, and Arsenal are unable to do that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I look at it this way. I think Bert has proven a lot of things this summer. That one, he has a lot more control than I think Arsenal fans were worried he wouldn't have, if that sentence makes sense. I also think as well he'll push for Arteta to potentially go with all this talent that you've got. Trophies have got to be won. So we spoke about Liverpool earlier. There's big pressure there. I understand the argument. There's more pressure on Arsenal because there's been no major trophies since the FA Cup in the summer of 2020. And you've got the talent. This isn't like we spoke about this a few months ago, I think, Aaron, where I was saying that there's always an excuse. And sometimes excuses are valid. So last summer, we had obviously Potsy on the show. And I think you remember this, LB. He sat there and said, I'm looking more at I'm looking more at the board than I am Arteta because they didn't buy enough or they didn't push for the right types of players to come in. And I think it was fair. And you always leave an excuse for Arteta that in the last summer enough wasn't bought. Some will say it's his fault because he made the decisions. My view is managers shouldn't have that much power at a football club. So I still look at the owners and I'm consistent with my own club in that regard. But there's nowhere else to look. You have, in my opinion, arguably the most balanced squad in the league. Genuinely, you start going through it, you have good fullbacks and you have cover for both. You have brilliant centre backs. Even Hankape that you just bought. Do a bit of research into this, guys. A lot of people that think he could be a sensation. Midfield, I think Zubimendi's excellent. You've got Declan Rice. We know what he can do. Eze has come in. Your worst midfielder is Norgard, and I think he's pretty decent, right? You go to the attack, it's stacked. You've got all types of players. Your worst players are kind of Martinelli's and Madueke's, and that's not bad as your worst players. Like, if you get where I'm coming, the depth is there. The expectation's got to be to win. So I do get the disappointment that Arsenal fans felt after that game because there was an opportunity. And as this comment here from Tevin says, I think the mistake is that Eze and Odegaard didn't come on 10 minutes earlier. Other than that, the first half was good. And I can understand that view. Let's nullify them. Let's calm the crowd down. Let's get a foothold in the game, then attack later. Again, I saw Sir Alex Ferguson do that regularly. We'd go away to Stamford Bridge. We'd go away to the Emirates or Highbury back in the day. You'd nullify the crowd. You'd slow the game down. You'd kill it. And then you'd make a few substitutions. And that's why I remember once getting into this debate with someone that was like, I remember watching a game once where you say Scholes was the best, but he was on the bench for this really important away game. But yeah, that was the tactic. It was to literally put blockades in the way and then someone like him come on against, tired legs in the last 30 minutes and he'd pass the way through. And it's like a tactic. And sometimes you've got to get those right because those 2 points, those 3 points now dropped, but those points dropped because of that free kick. Who knows how important they're going to be at the end of the season?
Sorry, can I just quickly jump in?
Yeah,
I do apologise because I've got to take my boy football training now.
No worries, mate.
Can I just, by the way, thank you for having me on again, LB, legend, and chat, smash the likes. Can I just lead on this? Your title says Arsenal and Arteta ready. 50% of that's true. And to finish off, the Arsenal squad absolutely is ready to win top trophies, top honours. I'm sorry, I don't think the manager is. I think we need a new manager to take this excellent squad really to that other level. But listen, I appreciate the invite again as always. Boys, have a great rest of the show. Chat, have a good one, and I'll catch up with you soon. Sweet boys.
All right, mate. Cheers, mate. Enjoy the football. Shay says, "Are we are bad in defensive transitions and Liverpool are great in offensive transitions. No one thought that might be Arteta's reasoning."
Honestly, that's excuses, bro. I'll be real with you, man. At the end of the day, you got to back your team. You got to back your team to say, right, we've got a team here that can win the league and beat the teams in front of us. And Arteta went to Anfield and didn't believe he could win, and that's why he set up the way he did, and he paid the price.
The question that's got to be asked is this. Listen, I've defended Arteta and Arsenal a lot in the last 3 years over ridiculous, the celebration police bullshit. The other day, Cundy getting angry that the fans are doing the celebration. All that stuff, I'll defend. All the nonsense about the young kids playing, I'll defend. There's been crazy punditry over the last 3 or 4 years about Arsenal, and I stand on everything I've said by and large. Where I understand the frustrations in this instance, if you go over the last 3 seasons, they've drawn quite a few of those games away. They haven't ended up winning the league. I know hindsight's lucrative and it's 2020 vision, but you can learn from it. Imagine they'd attacked in those games and gone for it. Maybe they win a few of them and actually have a league title. And I think that's why what I would say to the Arsenal fans saying, no, we did the right thing. I think you've got to try and look at it from the other perspective. You can draw a lot of games and avoid defeat. But over the course of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 matches in these big decisive games, you might have ended up with more points in one of those seasons had you attacked a little bit more. And I think that it was crazy is the one time when they could have done with being more pragmatic away at Liverpool was the season where they had the 8-point lead and threw it away. But I still think that is what kind of plays on the manager's mind.
I think that season, I think that does play on his mind. The West Ham game, the Liverpool game, because he didn't used to play like this. He used to be a lot more attacking, and then after that season where they crumbled in multiple games, he seems to have gone a little bit more pragmatic, and that's cool. But I think he's going too far the other way. I think he's struggling to find a balance. No,
I agree, and I think it's just getting it right. And to that of a super chat about the transition, so maybe it was right to start the team with the formation that you did. At the same time, I think I'd take this away from Arteta. The likes of Martinelli should be playing the through balls early, as an example. So maybe punish him by dropping him for the next game. But I do think the Odegaards and the Ezes and the Dalmans should all have come on 10 to 15 minutes earlier than they did. And then it's a case of, right, now go for it. Now give it a go. I heard someone the other day, a quote from, or a clip from Fergie came out because of this game, where he's talking about what's the point of going into the last 10 minutes of the game that you're losing or drawing and keeping it, in his day went 4-4-2. He goes, take a defender off, put an attacker on, go for it. He goes, what's the point of not doing that? Especially if you're not winning the game. And look, there are more than one way to skin a cat. Sometimes United have had stick for throwing on Maguire in the last 10 minutes, but actually we don't have many other options. At least we're trying to score. We're going to whack a ball into the box a little bit. At least you're going for it. There's just, again, I listen to Sir Alex because he won so many league titles. Yes, there's times he made those decisions and we went attacking and we lost the game. But on the balance of it, we won more, especially the seasons where we're in the title races. There are seasons where we didn't challenge. There was a couple of years in the mid-noughties where we didn't really challenge. But by and large, we came out on top more often than not by going for it. And I think Arsenal have got to push for that a little bit more. And again, this is it, that you always get this as well, LB. We shouldn't be gung-ho, though. No one's saying you should go there and have everyone in attack and leave yourself exposed for counterattacks and lose 4-0. But there is a balance. And that's what the conversation is about, in my personal opinion. When you make more attacking subs like Eze and Odegaard, the style and attacking emphasis didn't change. Changing personnel isn't all you need. You need to go with the mentality.
I completely agree with that as well, because I think, it's easy to say, oh, well, it's all right going there, playing the formation he did, and then he should have put Eze and Odegaard on earlier. But this guy's right, man. It's the mentality you're going with. It's very difficult to just play a certain way and then on the hour mark go, right, we're going to completely switch up now and then we're going to start pressing them and really going at them like that. I just don't think that, for me, it's all about how you approach the game. We are going to Anfield to win the game. And if we lose the game, we lose the game. But we're going to go to win. Arsenal didn't do that. Arsenal went, we're going to go there and try and get a draw. And they end up losing. So, for me, they deserve to lose because of their approach. That's the way I see it, man. And people will say, well, Albie, have you ever won there? No, but we go to try and win, just like Klopp's Liverpool tried to come and win. Yeah, when we went to Old Trafford when United had Ferguson, we went to try and win. Sometimes we won and won 6-3. Sometimes we got beat. But you go to win the game. That's just the way it is, man.
No, listen, I agree. I just think, especially at this stage, this is the point as well, especially at this stage of the Premier League season. And I think people sort of forget that in the context of the conversation. I totally get it. By the way, if you're leading Liverpool by 4 points in the league and you're going there in April, play for that draw. Play for that draw, get that draw, and you walk away and you sort of smile and you laugh and you say, "There we go. That was absolutely, brilliant to do." But you've got to go for it. You've got to go for it. You've really, really, really got to go for it. And I look at Fergie's first sort of 8-9 years in the Premier League. Since we come second twice and we won all the other league titles because we went for it. We then had a period where we came third 3 times in the space of like 3 years as we were rebuilding. But once we got a team then that could challenge from sort of 06, 05, 06 onwards, again, it was how many seasons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons. We walked away with 5 Premier League titles. So in the 2 periods in the Premier League where we were able to win it, there was a 10-year period where we were challenging, and then there was a 8-year period where we were consistently challenging. 2 periods. Obviously, 18 years is a long time. We walked away with 13 of those 18 league titles. Only 5 times did we not win because we always tried to win. And it didn't mean we played gun-ho away from home every game, but it was just moments where we'd go, right, let's go for it now. And by the way, we got battered a lot away from home. We'll remember that famous, we got battered at home sometimes and didn't go on to win the league. City smashed 5 or 6 past us.
Well, the year that we beat you 6-3, the reason why we scored so many goals is because you tried to get back into the game.
Yeah.
And you just full sent it. And then obviously City just picked you up on a counter attack. But, the intent was to get back into the game. Do you know what I'm saying? The intent was to not just go, right, you know what, let's just take a 3-1 loss. You try to get back in the game. And I don't know, man. I just think I feel like Arsenal are in a bit of an identity crisis, Terry. Like, I think they need to realise that they're a good team. But I still think they play these games as if they're the plucky underdog, the Leicester. Get your fucking chest out, man. Go to Anfield, go to the Etihad and say, "We're Arsenal, mate." You know what I mean? We got a sick defence, we got mega players, and we're gonna come here and we're gonna box you off the park and get your chest out. I still think they're like, oh, we've not won a trophy in 20 years. Like, nah, go down, man. You know what I mean?
And this is the thing, right? It's not even about you used to be naive and get battered because you go because Wenger would go everywhere and try and play the same way every game and get beat. And didn't. By the way, that was in the latter end of his career when his squad wasn't as good. No one is saying be crazy gun-ho and naive for 90 minutes. That isn't what's being discussed here. It's about picking and choosing when to do it. And I just don't think you took enough risks in the game when you could have done. I really don't. Look, I want to thank everyone who's tuned into the show today. 3 ex-United coaches are available to replace Arteta. Yeah, 3 ex-coaches sacked in a week.
Just quickly before we go, do you think that if he doesn't win anything this year, it's time to move on?
Yes.
Regardless of context, if he wins nothing, don't care if he comes second or whatever.
There's a few bits of context where you might say, okay, keep him, 98 points and Champions League final and narrowly misses out. You could make an argument. But as a general rule, no. This squad is about as good as I've seen Arsenal have in 20 years. It's one of the best squads in Europe. It's balanced. It's got everything that's needed. I think you could come again, and I can't speak for Arsenal fans, but I would get to the end of this season if he wins nothing. And I think it's a case of some people hate him, but I think the ones who have loved him and backed him can go, do you know what? We were behind you. Thank you for building us to this point. But we really now, because the one thing you've got to remember, Arsenal fans, is this team's been together now. This I know you've added new players this year, but this kind of core group has been together for 3 or 4 years. Most groups last 6-7 years together max until they get too old or they want to move on or you've got to rebuild again. You don't want to go through that period. You don't want to end up, I know you won an FA Cup, you don't want to end up being like Poch's Spurs, where they got to the end of their cycle and they'd won nothing. Because that, trust me, that hurts. And especially a club your size. Spurs are okay being bridesmaids. I don't think Arsenal are. So I do think if they come second again this year, do well in the Champions League, but don't quite get over the line, I think that's when they should look at it and say, thank you, Arteta, for helping build this squad, getting us to this point. But they will need someone else that can get... I look at Arsenal this way this year. I think Arsenal are in a win-win situation if the board are ruthless enough. They're either going to win with Arteta or they're going to replace him and someone else is going to get them over the line next year. I think they're that close to being a fantastic team. They've just got to make the right decision with the coach. And it's not even about trying to disrespect Arteta. It's about you guys putting your club first. And the squad, there's no excuses for him. He's got a fantastic squad, a brilliant team, top class to world class players, goal scorers. I agree with you. I think they've got the best defense in Europe. So, and defenses win your league titles, they say. So, yeah, it's I would say he's got to win a major trophy. Has to, in my opinion. And look, I want to thank everyone who's tuned in. 35 games left. Let's not gaslight people. No one has said the league's done either. No one has said you're not winning it. Like, this is not what we're talking about. Like, no one has said it's over. And I also reject that. Anyone who said Arsenal not winning the league from this point, I think they're exaggerating. I agree, but no one has said that on this stream, bro. Even Aaron, who wants Arteta gone, has not said it's all over from this point. He just says those games are where he doesn't think they'll win the league. No one has said it's over. Listen, this is going to redirect you to Footy Judge Mo's channel. I want to thank you all very much for tuning in, especially over the course of this summer. We will be live most days between now and the return of the Premier League. Maybe not as many streams per day, because I like to take a little bit of a break once the transfer window ends, because it's a lot of hard work. But I want to thank you all for all your support, to all of our subscribers. LB, always a pleasure, mate. And until next time, everyone, take care. Goodbye. God bless. See you soon. Peace.